you go on an interview, they're going to ask you your strengths and your weaknesses, and being aware of what they are, both. That way you don't get the big head because you know you got weaknesses too. But I think when it comes to being moms, it is such a difficult job. It is such a difficult task to do, to balance. Should I do this or not? And then, yes, you do take cues from maybe our own parents, even unbeknownst to us. Sometimes I wind up sounding just like my mom, but we not wanting to, but oh, dang, my mama said that, but taking cues from, but when you think about it, it's not easy. So I think we have to celebrate those times, Sister Nistas, that that those areas I'm good at. Now when it comes to, I'll even, Javon and Dina don't have to own up to it, but I own it. I suck when it comes to shopping. When it comes to doing some of those activities that girls stereotypically like to do. I just not one to go out and I will look for it on the internet. If I have to go get it, I go in the mall and I come right back out. I don't need the lollygag. I don't need the, when Javon and I get together, that's another thing. We'll go and raid a store. But and now online, but I needed other women, and thank God for a neighbor, a friend of ours, Bridget. She was so instrumental in Jada's middle school years, and by bringing Jada along with her girls who are the same age as Jada, when they would go shopping or go to the mall and stuff. I was like, Bridget, I'll pick them up, but I ain't going out there with them. I just so I knew that was a weakness as a mom. So what are some of the weaknesses that you have? The other one I know was we need another show. We need a whole another show.
Welcome to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, where we get VIP access into the lives of Black women, or as we like to call us here, our Sister Nistas. We get to hear from some of our favorite Sister Nistas as they share their worlds with us and create connections, exchange realities, ideas, and baby, we get to recognize and celebrate how powerful we really are. Our sisterhood here is real, filled with peace, wisdom, hope, love, light, and laughter. The kind you can feel, the kind of encouragement that confirms we can do anything because we have, and the kind of inspiration that proves we can be even greater. This is our world, where if you ain't a Black woman, you may want to be one, or definitely get to know one. It's a Black women's world, and we welcome our Sister Nista lovers too. Welcome to our queendom. I'm your self-discovery companion, your professional peacemaker, and I'm your host, TracyMac. Come on in and relax and sit with me for just a little while. Peace.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm TracyMac, your self-discovery companion and the professional peacemaker here on the Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, baby, with my two dynamic co-hosts, Javon Cookie Jones and Dina Hamilton. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, girl.
How are you all doing?
I'm good.
You good?
No complaints here.
You good? Y'all doing good out here in these COVID streets?
Of course.
Yeah,
look,
yes.
Forget COVID, these pollen streets.
I know.
Pollen got COVID beat. Where is the pollen stuff?
I was grateful for my mask yesterday. I had been out and my mask happened to be black. And by the time I got finished going in and out, my mask had pollen. And I said, that would have been ingested, So still got allergy issues, but thankful for my mask. But yeah, we've done a show that airs just before this one called Thanks Mom, where we took the time to thank our moms, or as it was put, your mama. You got your mama jokes and all this kind of stuff. But in honor of Mother's Day, being Black women, that says that's a lot. That's a mouthful, Black and woman. And I'm so grateful for both of you being able to embody those two poignant words. But when it comes to talking about the mothers that we have. Thank God our mothers are still alive. And but what it means to be a mom, or as Dina put it, how do you say, Dina, that when we talk about motherhood, what you be saying?
Well, I be liking to think that I'm more than a mother, but that's about the only title that holds any weight around here, if any at all.
Oh,
Mhm.
I mean, but we have to be more than a mother.
Uh-huh.
I don't think today that we have the luxury of having one role to play. Javon, what do you think about being more than a mother?
Hey, that's the story of my life. Look, I was a mom before I had kids. So, after
What do you mean by that?
with my mom being sick and me being the only girl in the house, I had two brothers. My father was a single parent. So I was playing the mama role, cooking and cleaning and fussing and everything else. But as a mother to my two sons, it's just, we talked about this before. It's just by the grace of God that I've been able to fulfill this role as I have,
Yeah.
and I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed.
Yeah, I'm blessed, like you, Javon, being able to fulfill the role because I, like many women, struggle with infertility and
Mhm.
wasn't supposed to, by medical evidence, supposed to be able to have any children. I was told when I was 14 years old, I had endometriosis really bad. And was told then that they basically left my female parts in place just for hormonal purposes. And I stayed in a lot of pain. So I didn't even have the fantasy in my head because it was taken away after a second opinion at 14 years old that I probably would not be able to have a child. So, and that was another reason why I didn't want to get married, because I thought that if I married someone, then in the back of his mind, he would always want children that I couldn't give. And
Uh-huh.
so that was one of the reasons. So when I did get married and told my then fiance, Owen, that I couldn't have children, he was like, okay, no problem. We'll just travel the world together. And the way he said it, I was convinced that he was going to be cool. And of course, as God would have it, we were taking a youth group to King's Dominion, and we didn't have the privilege of coming back in the wee hours of the morning and not going right to church on Sunday morning. So we didn't even go to sleep. And I was supposed to we had been married 7 years at this time. And I had done a couple rounds of Clomid, which was a fertility medication, and no luck, so to speak. And after we had, while we were in King's Dominion, I was feeling kind of nauseous, but I didn't think nothing of it. And was supposed to have a hysterectomy that next week. But when we got back home in the wee hours of the morning, the little light was blinking on the answer machine back then. I'm talking about 2000. And it was the doctor's office that called me and said for me not to come in for surgery, but to come in for a pre-op so they could determine the procedure they were going to use to remove the fibroids and have the hysterectomy. And so I listened to it and went in that Monday, and there was Jada on the monitor, a heartbeat. So that's a miracle, baby. I wasn't even supposed to be able to have any. So motherhood, it hit me quick because after a couple of years of trying and nothing, I just gave up, and it was like, okay, I'll just be a mom figure to kids. Owen and I were mentoring and pastoring youth. I had nephews. We did children's church. So the children in the church and the community were like mine. So did anybody else have any fertility issues that you want to discuss, or what it meant, how you became a mother? We know what it takes to become a mother.
When I met my husband, he was a single father to a 5-year-old. And I was, I guess, an instant mother figure because he had always had custody of his son. But after about a couple of years of us trying to have children after we were married, nothing happened. And I was really so discouraged, and it was just I was so frustrated. I was really depressed because I was supposed to be a mother. I was supposed to have 2 children. And I was actually on my way to seek fertility treatments when it was October. It was Halloween. Halloween 2005 is when I said something I don't feel, because when you're trying to get pregnant, you have those tests, pregnancy tests under the sink.
I did.
You have them under the sink, and you like taking one, it seemed like every day just to see, okay, am I pregnant yet? Am I pregnant yet? And after so many attempts of negative tests, I said, okay, I'm gonna see. I looked at this sick, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't. Does this say? I called Brian upstairs, and I was like, I think. Oh my God, we were so happy, so excited on that Halloween. He had since then taken Elijah out to do trick-or-treating, but I was left home. But I was still like so elated, because after all those years of trying to finally see that, yes, I was pregnant, I was so excited and so happy. So if Jessica and Sydney think that they were not, they were definitely wanted. They were definitely wanted, and I was just so happy to find out that I was pregnant that first time. I was crazy, and I was so excited. When I told my family, they were even more excited. So that made me even more excited that they were so excited for me.
Wow.
That's I didn't have that super duper happy marriage that y'all had. But I was elated when I first found out I was pregnant. And the second time around with my second son, I was even more elated. So I was very, very scared, because I did not have that. Let's see, like my grandmother had passed away, and my mom was in a mental institution. I didn't have that support system that I wanted and would love to have had. But girl, God just came through and just equipped me and gave me a whole new family structure that's not really blood related, and just held it down the whole time, all these years. So motherhood has just been something so much more than I would have ever expected. Even like I said earlier, to have both of my sons 3 years apart on the very same day has been.
How you calculate that, to have babies with the same birthday?
I don't know. That was just.
That is crazy.
Yes. But it was just a beautiful thing. I needed that. That was like God saying, I'm gonna give you an extra special gift for it's December 23rd, right before Christmas. I'm gonna bless your life, and I'm gonna let you go home by Christmas. So it was wonderful. Both my boys are just the best ever. The best.
Yeah.
Never an issue, never a problem. And I know I have been a problem to them. So, but I'm just telling you, it's just God has truly blessed me as a mom, and just being able to be there with them. The things that I've always desired from my mom, not that my mom chose not to be with me, but everything I desired. Band practice, football games, everything you could think of. I never missed one thing. Never. And if I had thought I was gonna miss it, I had like 9 people lined up. Hey, can y'all go to camp so-and-so tonight? But I never did. Or, it's just been a blessing, y'all. Motherhood.
Yeah, it is, and I love y'all's children. God knows I do. I love their quirks. I love how they like their mamas, and I love how they not like their mamas.
Whoever could you be referring to?
I'm telling you. And I love Jada too.
Yeah, and I know, and I appreciate, because it does take. I like having the fact that I don't have to do motherhood alone. Because it's a huge weight when you really think about the scheme of things, especially raising Black children and young Black women. it's a feat that you just cannot take on. And because of being a military child and then married military, we didn't move far, but we moved frequently. And so I learned as a child to make do and make peace and make family wherever you were. You know, you're going to be there 3 years, make the best of it, get you some friends, hang out with them, have a good time, and keep it moving. But the way the world changed, I didn't want that for my daughter. And I knew that the world wasn't as, I won't say as friendly, wasn't as family oriented the way I grew up, where everybody on the street could tell you what to do. You know, not just your relatives, but your mama's best friend could tap that hind part if necessary. And I knew that the world was changing. So I was so grateful that when Owen retired, Jada was just turning 4 years old, and I didn't want that travel military life for her because I didn't think the world that I wanted her to grow up in existed moving around frequently.
Yeah.
But because I didn't grow, I was born in Portsmouth, but I haven't lived in Portsmouth since I was 3 years old. And moving around, I was like, where's home? So that was a big deal for me, for her, when we were going to, set our roots down, because Owen's from Charleston. I was born in Virginia, raised most of my life in Havelock, Jacksonville, North Carolina areas, but I still didn't know what home was. So I was like, I've got to get a village, because I know that even as good of a woman that I think I am, I know that I want my daughter to have a life, and the life in the world that it's going to take more than me. And I knew that motherhood was beyond me, also because I knew how I had mothered other people's children, and it was necessary to be a part of a village, not to just need a village. What y'all?
Yeah, I think by the time I became a mother, I was in my mid-30s, so I was shopping for preschools, and I had friends who were shopping for high schools and colleges. So that's how late I was in on the mothering game here. But I'm thankful for that, because they were actually able to help me through how-tos, a lot of how-tos. So I'm grateful for that. But I do feel like a very old mother. You know what I mean? I'm like one of the oldest mothers in the class. That's what I feel like. I feel like I was.
You ain't gonna be broke down going to the graduation, are you?
Oh no.
Not that old.
No, I don't care if I am that old. I ain't gonna be broke down. No, ma'am. No, and if I am, y'all know something is deadly wrong. I mean, really, come and see about me. Come see about me.
See about you.
Thank you.
Even though my age is not, where yours is, Dina, I understand what you mean. My maturity level is a lot different from most of the moms my kids' age. And especially being involved with different programs, after school activities and stuff, you get to see the parenting level that you may know versus what other people may know. And it's not that they have a bad way or yours is better or anything like that. You just can see the difference in generations and how you were raised. I noticed with my sons, it's kind of crazy because my sons kind of have old souls, just like I do, but their friends had older parents. Where I'm 42, my son's best friend's mom is 54, and he's the youngest of his, siblings. So then I noticed his other friend, his mom is 51, 52. So they feel older, which, it is what it is. But my sons have flocked to all the old school kids, I say, the old school kids, but they all like old men.
Yeah.
So, and even though, like I said, I'm younger, I realize I'm just a little bit different. Then you get to see a whole nother shift when you have the younger 30s moms with freshmen in high school. You're like, wait a minute, we have such a gap, but you just learn how to relate and keep it moving.
Yeah, because I was 33 when I gave birth to Jada. And it was different. We were shifting in life, so many different things going on. And then because of some cognitive delays she had been diagnosed with when she was born, and so many, motherhood began to look bleak. So as quick as I found out I was pregnant, I was on bed rest the entire time. I even had to count kicks. When you count movement, should I say, every few minutes you have to use tick marks to make sure the baby's still moving. If I went any length of time without movement, supposed to call the doctor and all that kind of stuff. So pregnancy wasn't, and it gets me when I love being pregnant. I was scared the whole time. I was scared as hell the whole time being pregnant. I'm just going to tell you, to the point where we didn't even tell anybody. We didn't tell my parents until I was in my second trimester. And I couldn't verbalize it. we bought a pack of Pampers, and they had gone out of town to a conference, and I put the Pampers on the stairs in their home. And when they came home, they knew I was the only one who had a key. And so I knew it would prompt them to call me and ask them what the what the world these Pampers doing on the steps. But I could. So my pregnancy was not bliss, and I know some women enjoy it and they love it. But I made it up in my mind then I was going to keep it real. I went through postpartum because it was just so many changes, with the baby, and I had other surgeries, and it was just. I just didn't know how to handle it. I had seen it, but you see it don't mean that's how it's going to be for you, So motherhood was, I think I was a natural caretaker, but I was not a natural mom, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes, I could take care of the baby. I could take care, but I felt overwhelmed to the point where I was like, oh my God, what do I do with this life? I thought I had a handle on the world. And here comes this life I'm responsible for. And I got to feed from myself because I breastfed the first 6 months for the colostrum and all the health. I'm like, I got to do this. I can't. So motherhood was scary for me. Did y'all fall right in or what?
I would say I fell right in because I didn't even think about it. I saw this beautiful baby, both of them. I said, oh my God, they are dependent solely on me. I'm going to make sure I'm everything they need plus some.
Oh.
I've always felt like that. Even when I didn't know how I was going to be able to do this or that, I'm like, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do it. These eyes looking back at me are just ridiculous. I cannot let them down. So I've always had that very thought. So,
yeah. Dina, what about you? Did you fall right in?
No, I ain't fall into nothing. No. No, I did not fall into it. I did not like being pregnant. I was with the first one with Jessica, I was sick all the time. I did not feel good. I gained tons of weight. My feet were huge. I couldn't put them in shoes. I walked around with flip-flops on the entire time. So no, I was not Javon. I was not that person. I was unrecognizable. In fact, after it was like some years later that Brian told me, he was like, I just couldn't get over your nose. It like took over your whole face. I was like, be glad I'm walking around here with you inside of me. And I'm so glad that you waited a lot of years to tell me this. But yes, I changed so much. I did. I changed so much. So I didn't really like that part. I didn't get sick with the second one, which was a blessing. But I really didn't like that part of the pregnancy. As far as like feeling like I knew what to do, I think in a lot of ways I was probably still because I was kind of a little selfish, I think, because now I used to be able to do this, and now I'm not able to do that. So I really grew a lot. Those children taught me a lot about me, and they taught me a lot about breaking the breaking of me, and really forced me to look outside of me. And because it had just been just me for so long. Even to this day, there were people who thought I was an only child. And I got two other siblings. They thought I was, but it's just, I had to grow. Those children made me grow up, even though I was 35 and 36 years old when I had them. They really did taught me a lot about me.
That is exactly, I'm so glad you said that, Dina, because that's exactly where I was going to go. What has being a mother taught you, and or how are you different? I think I'm a different person. I mean, people will see me and say, oh, Tracy's the same. Tracy ain't gonna change, in a positive way. But I was so intolerant and so impatient. And I must say, Jada was not my first pregnancy, but I was so intolerant with people. I just didn't have the patience. I would go off and not care. But it took the breaking. Not only I think me being flat on my back for most of that pregnancy was a vulnerable time. I had to ask for help with things, all the swelling and everything that goes along with it, like you were talking about, Dina. And then, like Javon was saying, that's what overwhelmed me is when I looked into her eyes and I said, oh my God, I got to be responsible for this. I got to take time. I got to, nurture this. And it brought some things out of me that I did not know were there, of patience and acceptance. I think out of the words, that would be accepting people as is. I don't think I was ever impartial to people with disabilities at all. Matter of fact, I even volunteered at the Child Development Center helping people with physical disabilities, or like I say, different abilities. But it's not until your child is labeled disabled until another level of compassion for those who may have learning impairments and speech impairments and things like that. And that really, I think, just broke me all the way down to grace, mercy, kindness. All those words was when I became a mom. And as I had to help Jada through a lot of things, I just learned. Javon, how have you changed since being a mom?
I've been a cool sister from the jump, for real.
You've been
y'all have some issues,
Yeah.
but I'm serious. I have always been patient. I have always been loving and caring. My children did not create that in me. They gave me, they were that vessel I could pour into more of, I always been she, so. But I'm so serious. I'm sitting up and like, God dang, y'all got the worst. But
now you know how I feel. Now you know how I feel when you.
Mind you,
I'm like, what?
Mind you, I love being pregnant. Yes, I gained 100+ pounds with both pregnancies. My
baby, God Almighty, good gracious!
I know. My first one was 10 pounds, 10 ounces. My second one was 11 pounds, 3 ounces. So it was not an easy pregnancy, but I'm telling you, I was happy. I was just like, oh snap, a foot is way over here and a hand is way there. I was so tripped out because no one ever talked about pregnancy, the details, what's going on with your body. And I'm finding all this stuff out on my own, first at 22 years old and turning around at 25 years old, had my second one. It was things I was learning about I've never had a conversation with another person about. I'm like, whoa, what is all this going on? Even afterward, I dealt with postpartum depression, but it wasn't the worst time in my life. It was just, okay, this is what my mom might have been feeling like. It might have taken her to another level, but I felt like if I don't pull this thing together or get the help that I need, I'm gonna trip out and be laid up right beside her in somebody's facility.
Well, you know what? That's what kind of spun me out of it. Desert Storm. Well, really 9/11, because I kind of came out of the depression, but I went right into anxiety. And I was having anxiety attacks and didn't even know what they were. And matter of fact, 9/11, Jada and I were in the car. It's a long story. We can tell it on another podcast episode. But I had my first real anxiety attack on 9/11, and I was nowhere near the World Trade Center. I was at Cherry Point, North Carolina, sitting outside the gate and had a panic attack. I was about to run out of gas. My baby didn't have no formula because I got her from the daycare, was on my way home, had no idea we would sit in traffic for hours and hours and hours. And had a panic attack, but I thought it was a heart attack. I was about 300 pounds then, and I didn't know what was going on. But after I kind of snapped out of it and came to, took me a while to get myself together, and I got home and I was okay. Had another one. It was years before I knew it was anxiety disorder, and haven't had a panic attack since 2004. Praise Jesus.
All right.
But the thing of it is all of the responsibility and the way I snapped out of it because I had to, because right after that, my husband got sent to Iraq. Frontline Navy corpsman with the Marines. And I think coupled with coming out of that postpartum depression, right into anxiety, knowing the position he was playing, or the role he had to play in that, it just was a lot. But I had to be that baby's mom. I ain't had time. You know, my parents lived off base and they were so busy, and, you know, the church ops tempo at church and at work was just so crazy. I couldn't put my baby on nobody. Plus she was mine. You know, but it would just snap me. And I'm not saying that works for everybody, but my level of responsibility had to suppress some things that I wasn't able to do. We talk about self-care all the time now, but back then I wasn't able to have the level of self-care that I needed and should have gotten. I didn't know how to get it because that wasn't something talked about. It wasn't something you did to take care of yourself as a mom, and especially coming out of postpartum.
Yeah.
And but I just thank God for the grace to get through it. But a lot of women, you don't have to do that now. You know, there's so many ways we can reach out and have access to help. And I'm not saying it's easy to do, but it's easy to get if you want it. But I didn't know that.
About more now. It's more open in conversations. That was so hush, even though it was only 20 years ago for us. You know, that wasn't talked about at all, or very, very little. They talked about mommy blues and all. No, you tripping out. Your thoughts, everything. Actually, I saw it on Oprah. The weatherman from Today's Show, Good Morning America, Al Roker, his wife was on Oprah, and she was talking about having extreme depression where she wanted
Deborah Roberts.
And it was like, oh my God, somebody else is going through something. Like, I didn't want to harm my children, but those thoughts had come to my mind, and nobody talks about that in our community. You know, and nobody even gets help. Like, girl, you better go to the altar and pray or something.
That's exactly what I did. When I did reach out and say, I never, the thought of harming her, I just didn't want to be bothered. I just didn't, I didn't want to. I just wanted to be off in a corner, and like I needed some time to get myself together. Like I was thinking about it retrospectively, it was like, if I could just have the baby, take a week off. And then, you know, but you just, you know, you go right into it. But it was just not knowing and being told, oh, you'll be all right. Just pray.
You'll be okay. Just
and
pray.
I went through that. You'll be all right. Just pray. Go to the altar, read your Bible and all this. And I did that from the time she was born in 2001 until 2004, when I finally went to therapy and got help. I got the proper, appropriate tools on how to deal with it. So Dina, what was you said you went through some depression. What was your spin out?
Yeah, I don't think I had, like, I was depressed before I had the child because I didn't think that it was not happening in my time. You know, it took so many years for us to even get pregnant. So that was very depressing. And it was hard on my marriage because that was this thing that I felt like I was failing at, not being able to become a mother. After I had the first one, Jessica, I really went out of work. So I was a stay-at-home mom, and 9 months later, I was pregnant again. So I don't feel like I had time.
You ain't waste no time.
Really, I didn't have time to waste because I was getting older, and I knew that then if I had hit the benchmark of like 36, I would have to go through I wouldn't have to, but it would be strongly recommended that I go through all of the amnio and all those types of testings, and that, you know, because at that time your ovaries are considered to be old. And I didn't want to, we knew it was going to happen fast. I just really hadn't planned on it happening that fast. So the girls are 18 months apart. Um, one wasn't even walking. I was like, it was 15. Jessica was 15 months. Here I was out of here ready to deliver. I said, Lord, please let her start walking because I just couldn't see myself. I got depressed again. I was like, am I going to have two arm babies? How am I going to be able to do all of this? And Brian, he traveled a lot. So I was at home a lot alone with them. But I thank God for my grandma because that gave me a place to go. It gave, even though I didn't leave, but it was an outlet. It was somewhere for me to go, somewhere for somebody else to help. Even if they didn't do anything, so being in the room with someone else was a life.
Yeah.
I need at the time, and just to be able to just drive around, because even though it sounds lovely that this stay-at-home mom, and it sounds, honey, I was bored and I had two babies. I don't know how you could be bored with two babies. Maybe I would just be tired of just being at the house, alone with two babies. So yes,
I didn't have that experience at all. I went on bed rest, but at the time, and then I think during that time I was working at the church full time because I left my other job because of having to be on bed rest and stuff. And so, but I was still directing choirs, still doing church business, singing, teaching, whatever, and also working there. And after I had Jada, I went right back after 6 weeks, but I had the luxury of her going with me daycare wise. But when she turned 1, I took her to daycare. And that was a rough experience for me. I know a lot of women do it right after 6 weeks, so this is definitely not any guilt trip, Sister Nistas or Sister Nista lovers. It was just hard for me because of her cognitive delays. Even though she wasn't ruled, it wasn't so much to the point where she had to have specialty care in any way. But I knew she wasn't up to the growth expectations of a 1-year-old. And then I was like, are they going to treat her funny? She's not talking, all those things. Her dad is at war, literally, so it was just all these things, but I wasn't in a position where I didn't have to work. I had to work. And so it was just rough having to, for me to take her to daycare. And then she stayed in daycare because I continued to work. So Jada doesn't know an at-home mom. I think now with the way that my schedule is relaxed, especially since COVID and some career choices that I've chose to make, this is the most she's seen me at almost 20 years old, And so I don't think you'd have to ask her, but I don't think she's missed a beat as far as missing me because I was able to schedule my life around her. But as far as being an at-home mom, that wasn't our life. I look at women and sometimes I'm like, how y'all stay home all day? But now I look and say, why you leaving? I don't want to go nowhere.
And that's the misconception though. People think that just because you choose to be an at-home mom, you're in the house all day. Mm-hmm. Girl, me and my kids was all over the place. I mean, and we was at your house in Raleigh. Yes. We were like, wait a minute, what y'all doing? I ain't on the house. No, we are homeschooled. Thank you. No, but
well, spend the night then. Spend the night. Stay all week. Yes.
But oh my God, that was the best time of my life. Because my baby was born on Cameron's birthday at 3 years old, he's like, I got a brother for my birthday. He was the most caring, loving brother, and still is, even though he kind of rough with it now, but I mean, they still love each other so much. So they've always had a really great relationship. I've always had stuff for them to do, plans. We just never sat still and twiddle our thumbs. So I chose to be at home, and I was, oh my God, just so grateful that I could do that because my husband worked. And I'm like, hey, I'm not putting these kids in daycare. Forget hair. I'm not doing nothing but being with them. Going back to my mom not being with me, I was not going to miss a beat. So up until I think my youngest went to pre-K, that's when I went back to work. No, it wasn't even pre-K. It was like first grade when I went back to work in the salon. But I just I couldn't separate it. I'm at the school, in the classroom, the room mom and all that stuff. I could not see myself leaving them because I was always told, well, God loaned you these jokers. You only got a short period with them. Make the most of that time. There's another nugget from my mother-in-law too. She said, make the most of the time that you have with them. Some stuff you can sacrifice, you get to it later. And if it's meant for you to have like career choices and stuff that were presented to me at one point in time, I never wanted to sacrifice my children. So I had opportunities to work for major magazine companies. And I said, nope, I'm going to have to leave my children behind. Oh no, I'll come back to it later. And so, I chose
Dina,
to stay with my children.
That can go back to the title of the episode, BWWP, is more than a mother. Because what I am grateful for is that even though the three of us made different choices for different reasons, is entrepreneurship was the best way that I could fulfill what I believe my role is and was to my daughter. Because of her learning disabilities, extra tutoring was required. Extra time was required. When they say, oh, we're only sending home 30 minutes of homework, it would take us 3 hours to help her go through that homework process. So, I mean, it was before entrepreneurship, I was working for the state full-time. I saw clients on the side. I had gone back to school full-time and earned a coach certification, all within a 3-year period, not boom, 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 boom. But it was like, I knew I had to get that done. You got to do what you got to do so you can do what you want to do, type thing. But it was mainly to be with my daughter for those times. So even though she doesn't know me as a stay-at-home mom in the guise of what that kind of looks like to society, she knows that I built my schedule around being able to do what I needed to do for her. So I wasn't home. She went to daycare. She went to daycare and earned a black belt, going to Tiger Martial Arts. So she went to daycare. But when it came time to anything she needed after school events, time on the weekends to do homework or to play with, I scheduled it. Even when she went to school and the bus would have had to come, I think she'd had to be at the bus stop at 6 a.m. She's an only child. I won't have my baby outside in the bus. So I built my client schedule around carpool. So I wanted to be the last person she saw so I could pray over and we could talk on the way to school. And I wanted to be the person that pick her up. So how was your day? And that is what, so any other time I may have missed out on, I had to get those nuggets. I wanted to be that person, you know. So Dina, what were some of the decisions you made or that's things you may have given up for the sake of motherhood?
Well, you know, before I became a mother, I was a pharmaceutical rep. I worked for Pfizer. I had an amazing career. I earned a ton of money, and I really had built a community and a life around that. So that was the first sacrifice, was giving up that particular life in pursuit of my current life. And because I was able to be home with them, I found out a lot of things. I sent them to was a half day preschool or what have you, from like 9 to 12 when they turned about 3, maybe 3 years old. I would send them half days. And that's when I learned that Jessica had a different ability. And if I did not have that time with her, there's no way that I would have been able to take advantage of the resources we had, because Jessica she was delayed in her talking too. So there was no way that I would have been able to attend to her the way that I would have liked to have done so if I did not have the time to do so. Now you would never know that she had any type of speech impairment based on the level of speech that she gives us around here. But that was one of the things that we would have not known or would not have had the time to take care of the way that I wanted to. I knew that if I had stayed as a pharma rep I was in and out too. I traveled a lot too. It would have been harder for the two of us to attend to that properly. We would not have known. We would not have even noticed if it was not for a teacher to have brought that to our attention. But guess when those appointments and all of those criteria building things were done? During the day when most people are out working. That's when I would have been out working. You can't, it's hard to be a mother and work for these companies because they want your time because they're paying you for it. But there are some other people who need your time too. So that is really how I made the decision to leave corporate, because I saw the struggles of other mothers. And I really didn't want to have to deal with that. So that was a big sacrifice to the entire family to take away my salary, but not to the detriment of what we learned and what we had to go through. I mean, I don't talk about it, but there's no. She also has a hearing impairment, so no one knows, because it's not because I'm shamed, but because we don't treat her any differently.
Yeah.
And she wears a hearing aid, and she's not shamed, but I'm not trying to, and that's how we carry it. So this is how you have to live. These are the parameters. This is what God has dealt you. This is what we have to do. She works really hard. I see her working really hard. And, we treat her the way that we want others to treat her. So we were able to put her in a private school. Both of them had private school educations because we wanted to make sure that they had enough attention in order for them to do. That was another sacrifice, So when you're talking about me and my relationship with my children or my relationship with being a mother, I really learned sacrifice. And that's when I really appreciated the way that I was reared, because there's no way, and I'll say this every day, I don't know how my parents did so much on so much less. And now we just make sure that we have and sacrifice a lot of time, energy, as well as financial resources to make sure that they have the best advantage that they could possibly have.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Giving the sacrifices we make to give them a leg up, because our parents made sacrifices to give us a leg up, and
sometimes you have a taste for a little something sweet, and other times you want something savory. Well, the Sweet and Savory Sisters, Jessica and Sydney Hamilton, can satisfy your taste buds with either one or both. Talk about prospering during a pandemic. When schools shifted to virtual learning, Jessica and Sydney went from boredom to making breakfast to baking during their cooking classes, right on into business. And I do mean a whole business for real. These Sweet and Savory Sisters seized the opportunity and expanded their cakes into catering contracts. So if you want pies or cakes for your own sweet tooth, or if you'd like to connect with them about sharing a little sweet and savory for your special event, go to sweetandsavourysisters.com. Now listen, that's sweet, but it ain't just a regular savory, because their sweet is sweet, but their savory has 2 E's. So go to sweetandsavourysisters.com, because these sisters are serving goodness on a plate. I really hope you are enjoying one of our favorite sister-niestas, Javon Cookie Jones. But you know what's not new to Javon? Cosmetology, makeup artistry, and so much more, because she's been at it for over 30 years as the sole owner of Flutterism Beauty Experience Salon and Cosmetics, located in Portsmouth, Virginia, USA. To contact Javon or to book an appointment, call 757-606-0222. Also, you can reach her at flutterism@gmail.com. That's FLUTTERIZM @gmail.com. And if you don't know what it means to be flutterized, Let me tell you, it's when Javon takes you from nervous excitement to fearless confidence. I know I'm a witness. I've been flutterized. You've been listening to Black Women's World Podcast.
Absolutely.
People have different ways and reasons of how they raise their children with money, or the get out when you're 18 rule, so I'm not here to even try to claim the fame on knowing what's right for everybody, but I know what's right for us. But then there's something you said as far as those different abilities. Sometimes I made, as a mom, when I would be around other moms whose children had different abilities, some less severe than Jada's, some more severe than Jada's. What I found was that I didn't have anybody in the community who looked like me. I'm just going to put it like that. And I'm not saying they didn't exist, but they just weren't in the spaces where I was. And so I knew that I could deal with it alone, or should I say as a mom, because of course we have the grace of God that Jada's father, Owen, has always been there. I tell people all the time, he's a better father than I am a mother. But that's a whole nother subject, in the sense of I know what he does and gives and how much he loves her. And I don't love her any less, we're just different. And but what I began to see was, I said, you know what, I can't really even talk to anybody on this level, because yes, she goes to regular school, but it's such a struggle. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna pull people into my world. That's one reason why I became verbal with it. I didn't want her to be ashamed. I didn't want her to be labeled. And I wanted to teach her a work ethic like no other. And I'm like, if you have to deal with this, you're going to be the best at it at your level. You're not going to try to be like anybody else. If this is what you have to deal with as a crutch, because I believe the Apostle Paul said, a thorn in your side, we all have a thorn, something we have to deal with that just won't let us go. And I said, if this is going to be your thorn, then you're going to be the best at it. And so sometimes when people see your children succeed, Jada made honor roll 9 times between elementary school and high school. And people think the dyslexia goes away. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. You just develop tools, and she has a work ethic that's beyond mine. Even now, she's Dean's List worthy, but that was the sacrifices as a mom. You know, she's a sophomore in college. Last year, she had Dean's List equivalent grades. She's on her way this year, but she has to work extra hard. And so I'm thinking, as a mom, it makes you feel good to say that even in my flaws, I had something to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, so Javon, what's something with your boys that you like, even though, because Javon, I always call you gangster, but even, and what can you say? You know what? I may not have it all together, but I had something to do with that.
Oh, girl, I don't know. Them boys are just so headstrong, all over the place. They know what they're going to do, know what they want to do, how they want to do it. And even though it may not look like what I want them to do, they have their heads on the right way. They're not into a bunch of foolishness. I admire them for being so mature, it doesn't take an audience for them to make a decision. They're going to do what they want to do no matter what. Me, I'll call you, Tracy. Girl, do you think I should do so-and-so and so, or should I do so-and-so? Look, hence the earrings. Like, I don't know if I should get these earrings. Now look at all us.
Girl, go ahead, get them earrings. Get them earrings.
You know what I'm saying?
Show them earrings, girl. Show them earrings.
Oh, boom. But no, my kids are so different from me, but I'm glad I have so much to do with them. They may not have gotten that from me, but it's just such a joy to see that in them. They are so headstrong, no matter what. My oldest, for instance, he was in college in the dorm, and he would tell me about so much that was going on in that dorm. And me being, I'm like, let me try to pull his card a little. I'm like, you ain't going out to smoke with him. You're not going out. I was like, seriously, Mom? Why the heck would I want to go out and do such and such and such? Not that it's bad or I'm down on other kids that did, But for him to have set on his mind, and not just telling me a bunch of mess, to be telling his mom, he was like, Mom, I just don't want to be here anymore. I'm like, you gonna leave school because what? You're physically leaving school because of the environment. He's like, I don't like this environment. I don't want to be here because of A, B, C, and D. I said, Cam, you got to bypass some stuff. You just got to learn to live with some. He was so set on, no, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. And he's living up to everything he said and doing well at it. He ain't got no babies out here, not saying there's something wrong with having babies, but he's just doing everything he said he would do and some. And I'm so proud of him, both of them. And I did not have that strong will growing up. I didn't say, I may have it now at 42, but I just did not have that. And I just commend him and his brother for being so headstrong.
So you had a whole lot to do with that, though. You had a whole lot to do with it. And so Dina, what's your, I may not be perfect, but I had something to do with that.
Let me tell you. Okay, so I just talked about Jessica. Sydney, Jessica looks like me, but Sydney definitely has my personality.
100%. Amen.
She's so loving. Jessie is so loving, and she's so kind, and she's so giving, and she's so compassionate. Sydney, I love her. Oh my God, I do. I love her. But sometimes, look, she's something. Let me tell you something. She's something.
She little Dina. That's what she is.
She is going to do exactly what it is that she wants to do. She has already told my grandma that she was leaving after she graduates. She's going to move to New York. That's what she says. And I try not to discourage, because I remember how broken my mother was when I made the announcement that I was leaving to go to DC. The family is so close that she's like, how are you going to leave us? And I'm like, I'm not leaving you. I'm just moving to DC. I really left just to see if I can make it on my own, because really my life, they had taken care of me my entire life. Every step, there was not a step that they were not there. And I'm so grateful for that. But I really needed to see if I could make it on my own. And I made it on my own. But I'm going to tell you, every time she says that she's going to leave and go to New York, my heart is like, on the inside, I don't say it out loud, which is a change. But on the inside, I'm like, Lord, please let my baby stay somewhere close around here. Please let my baby stay somewhere close, because I really, for as much as I look at her, I'm really excited. I really am excited for her future, whatever that future is, because I believe that there's nothing that they can't do if that's what they choose to do.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Well, I mean, look at their examples. I mean, we are far from perfect, and we know one another's weaknesses and strengths to a great degree based on our relationships. But look at, I think sometimes we have to own some of the things. I know the first thing somebody will say was, the Bible say, don't let somebody else speak good of you. But there's also a saying that old people say, it's a sad cow that can't ring its own bell. If you can't at least acknowledge your strengths, even if you go on an interview, they're going to ask you your strengths and your weaknesses, and being aware of what they are, both. That way you don't get the big head, because you got weaknesses too. But I think when it comes to being moms, it is such a difficult job. It is such a difficult task to do, to balance. Should I do this or not? And then, yes, you do take cues from maybe our own parents, even unbeknownst to us. Sometimes I wind up sounding just like my mama, but we not wanting to, but, oh, dang, my mama said that, but taking cues from, but when you think about it, it's not easy. So I think we have to celebrate those times, Sister Nistas, that that those areas I'm good at. Now when it comes to, I'll even, Javon and Dina don't have to own up to it, but I own it. I suck when it comes to shopping. when it comes to doing some of those activities that girls stereotypically like to do. I just not one to go out and I will look for it on the internet. If I have to go get it, I go in the mall and I come right back out. I don't need the lollygag. I don't need the, when Javon and I get together, that's another thing. We'll go and raid a store. But and now online, but I needed other women, and thank God for a neighbor, a friend of ours, Bridget. She was so instrumental in Jada's middle school years, and by bringing Jada along with her girls who are the same age as Jada, when they would go shopping or go to the mall and stuff. I was like, Bridget, I'll pick them up, but I ain't going out there with them. You know, I just so I knew that was a weakness as a mom. So what are some of the weaknesses that you have? The other one I know was we need another show. We need a whole another show. But the other weakness I had was caring about what people think. It took me a while to get there, but I had to realize she's not there yet. She's gonna have to go through her own experiences that she gets to a point where she don't give a flying flip about what people think in that sense. And so it was rough for me, you know, teenage and middle school. She'd be like, well, they said, man, you know, but that wasn't true for her. So what's some weaknesses? The top one, Javon, you before Dina start counting, you got any?
Well, a weakness on my end, I'm not a planner. And I've told y'all many times, my kids have never had birthday parties. They've never had like sleepovers. Boys really didn't do too much of that, but I didn't plan nothing. Whatever we did, it was okay. You want to go here? Okay, we're going to go to Florida. All right, let's go tomorrow. You know, we did not plan much of anything. It was just very spontaneous, and I think it's a weakness only because that structure brings so much more balance. I don't see it more so with Cameron, my oldest one, but I see it more so with the youngest one. He is like me, like, oh, bet, let's do it. Let's go, let's whatever. He's not going to plan anything. But I think that's a weakness that I could have definitely been more structured with, I think.
Well, you know, I got two girls, and most girls love to go shopping. Well, I don't like to go shopping, and that's because my mother used to cart me around to every store every Saturday. I was so tired of being in those stores. I mean, from Bell to, I was tired. She really, Mama, you did a number on me when I was, it was like, so I'm not that one either. So I'm not sure how much of a sense of style or what have you they'll have because that's how I learned, even though I hated it, but that's where I learned it from. And I hated it. So my baby girl, she hates going. If we say, okay, let's go to the mall, I don't want to go. I just want to stay here. And I'm like, no, you're going. You know, you're going. So I don't know if I'm turning into my mama or not. Am I turning into and then we go through all of so Javon didn't have to do all of this part because she got boys. Then we had to go through all the gymnastics and then the cheerleading, and then you got to take them, and then they want to compete. I hated that part. Oh my God, that was just so much. Oh, so you talking about, that's a weakness. That was us.
Cheerleading competitions. Oh my God. I was so not. Oh, and then you think that's something. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. A tennis mom. Especially when no other tennis moms look like me.
Like you.
And most of them play tennis. And I'm coming from work dressed in work, professional work gear, and they out there in their tennis skirts and talk. I hate it. I love to see her play. But those 3-4 years she played tennis, match days, I had to go out there and not to be offensive, I had to put on another level of armor for my child. And I had to be verbal about some things about my child. And you just have to suit up, and I had to be mama bear for my child gladly, and would do it again. But tennis, that just brought a whole nother, when I said before, Jada made me calm and more compassionate. Those tennis days let me know that really wasn't as dormant.
I didn't have the tennis and the cheerleading and dance and all that stuff, but my son wrestled. Every time I turn around, I'm in the emergency room. I mean, they played basketball. They were, of course, in the band. The band was great, though. I love that shoot. But the wrestling, I hated watching it. I'm like ready to go out there and flip this child over for touching my child. So that was not an area that I did well with, but that's what they wanted to do. So I'm like, well, here we go again. Another, whatever you call them, meets, wrestling things or whatever. I never got involved like heavy. I would never miss it. But I'm like, dang, we got to go to the hospital again. Camden broke his arm or something always happened. But it is what it is.
You know what? Girls can take you through that too. Because between 7th and 10th grade, Jada had a major injury every year. And I said, Jada, you keep hurting yourself, they're going to call CPS on me to see what's up. I mean, it was ankle, knee, back, shoulder. She brace, sling, crutches. And I'm like, come on, Jay, you got it. But those things we do to expose our children. I will never regret those 4 years of tennis, because she had opportunities, and she had conversations with people she may not have had had she not been the minority. And then there were other things that led to that. But as a mom, what's something that you want your daughter to know about you that you don't mind the world hearing about being her mom, and Javon about being your boy's mom? What's something you want them to know that you don't mind the world hearing, whether it be something you want to tell them futuristically, or just a word of wisdom? Need time to think about it?
I always tell my kids the same things, and I always mean the same things, Don't be afraid to jump. Don't be afraid to leave home. Just the whole thing going back to just not allowing fear to rule you. Live your life, be so good at it. I mean, just buck and do whatever it takes to be the best that you know how to be. Not trying to impress anybody, just going hard, doing what you know how to do. And just not being afraid. Just conquer the freaking world. Do it. And don't look back and see who trying to catch up. Just run with it.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I don't care what else they do. They could do whatever, but just be good at it. Mm-hmm. They can stack water bottle tops. Get them drinks up so high. They can't nobody. No, I'm joking, but you know what I'm saying. Whatever you choose to do,
but who thinks about stacking water bottle tops? That was so dumb.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for calling my thoughts dumb.
Call it dumb. I didn't call it.
It was supposed to sound dumb, Tracy.
I know. I'm just
saying, if you're going to stack them jokers, I want you to stack them with just so much charisma and just energy, and just stack them things to Jesus.
Then you got any water bottle tops?
Hey. Let's go. Let's go.
This is not going exactly as planned, but that's why you're here, because you are you. This is why you're here. This is why you're here. This is why Dina, I'm gonna take a chance. Dina, your turn, Dina. Okay. Help me, Jesus. Help me. Should I pray, Lord? Help her answer. Right.
Oh my Lord.
She coming through. She coming through.
He gonna come through, Lord. I did so many things afraid. Uh, and I really want them to have that same spirit, even though I'm gonna be over here being afraid for them, you know, because even though I did it afraid, it was me. You know what I mean? That's how in my mind that was me. I'm different, but they're really not that different. They come from me, and I really want them to be able to do exactly what they set out to do, or at least know that they can do it, can see the end, even though I'm sitting over here with my butt cheeks all tight and
Like,
Bottle caps and tight butt cheeks. All right.
I feel you,
Okay.
Dana. I feel you. My son told me about a month ago that he had gotten his passport and he was about to make a trip to Ireland. And I'm like, girl, I done Googled the COVID results in Ireland, how they had the highest in the world. I'm like, oh no, you can't do that. You know, why would you do that? Then he began to tell me his friend is from Ireland, and she goes to see her family, you know, every year or so forth. And he was like, I want to go too. I said, why am I hindering or trying to come up with something negative when I have been all around the globe? You know, he's an adult. He's voting. He's picking presidents, and I'm telling him he can't go. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't say he couldn't go, but I'm just like, Ireland? No, but why not? This is just the beginning of a journey. You know, one of the many places he'll see, whether it be COVID or not, you know, he's got the wings like a 747.
Yes.
Go ahead
Yes.
and get it. You know,
Yes.
this is one place. This is the very beginning. So he's been all over with me. So why
Yes.
not? So it's like, I feel you, Dean, as far as that fear. Butt cheeks tight as I don't know what, like, no, I can't come get you if anything happens. But that's the part of being a mom. You just gotta let the flippers fall out that nest and wobble.
Yes.
You know, just go ahead and do it.
Yes, and it's so true because I mean, you know, talk about tight butt cheeks. Mine were tight just for Jada to go to college, you know, with those
Definitely.
different abilities
Yeah.
because we had developed a community here. She was well loved by her, all of her teachers, from
Yeah.
elementary school to high school, letters of recommendation, calls, the gifts that she was still getting throughout. But we would get ready to shift into people that didn't know her and didn't even care, you know. And I'm like, oh my God, are you sure? I wanted her to go locally. That was my thing. My pocket wanted her to go locally, and my fear wanted her to go locally. And even though she did have the controls of you have to stay within the state, but still it was still she's gonna go away. And so she hasn't done any international travel by herself. But my thing to my daughter has been be the best and do your best for you and let everybody else benefit. Never do the best for anybody else. If you do the best for you, everybody else will benefit from that. And you know, that's been the thing for her, for me, for her, is because like y'all, I try to people please for so many reasons, growing up in the sense not knowing that's what I was doing, but just trying to be right and trying to do right. But I didn't realize until much later on in age that it was a trauma response. You know, you're trying to do what everybody else thinks you should do, and you don't want to make waves, but that's because you've had some traumatic experiences and you've seen what making waves looks like. But then you got to realize their waves ain't your waves. So I've always been, Jada, do your best. And so when I see her studying, when ain't nobody looking, when her friends are out partying, and she'll go out every now and then and have a good time. Not now with COVID, but I mean, she was enjoying herself with some level of balance. But just do your best because you are destined to be a strong Black woman because of the ancestry and the lineage you come from. You really don't have a choice. And as an only child, you don't have some of the support that other people may have. So you really have to enjoy yourself. Enjoy the hell out of your life. Literally, when you enjoy your life, to hell with everything and everybody else, you know. And I know that's strong language, but you got to talk that way to these young women and not get caught up in relationships or expectations or having to be, those things will come. You attract that once you are sure about some things in yourself. So that's my, as a mom, that's been my thing for her and really any Black woman. So I mean, it's about being more than a mother. You got to be the cheerleader, the coach,
That's
the
right.
chef, the the confidant. You know, even as they get older, Dina, I don't know if you have this yet, but there is a level of friending that starts shifting, that is not, to me, negative. There's still that level of respect where I'm the mama, but there's some things we can share now, that I don't want, I'm not her friend on her level, but I wanted to be the one to show her what friendship looks like.
Yeah.
So you don't have to take this crap from chicks in the street, and you don't have
Yeah.
to take it from no man. This is what friendship or love looks like. So, I mean, what do y'all think about that? I know they say your parent can't be your friend, but what do you think about it from that perspective, or what do you do? Dina, you there yet?
Yeah, no, we're not there. No, we're not. But what they do see are the friends that I do have, and they see the relationships that I do have, with my friends, with my circle, and I think they like what they see, and they see the relationship that their dad and I have, and that those things are important for me. No, we're not friends yet, and it wasn't until I was probably away and in college and on my own until is when my mother and I became friendly. Because she saw me as a different person. I was an adult then, and so she treated me accordingly. But no, we ain't there yet. But I shoot for the example. I try to live the example before them. I ain't perfect, and Lord knows they hear things that I wish that they did not have to hear around here. So we not perfect up in here, but we do make it as a loving environment as it possibly can be, and I hope that they see the love in all of the relationships that their dad and I have with not just each other but with other people as well. So I strive for the day to get there. I do want to get there, but yeah.
Since you want it, it'll happen. Since you want it, it'll happen. Yeah. Javon, have you shifted into that mode?
I don't think it'll ever be a shift, to be honest with you, but I do feel more, we have much more mature conversation. Both of my sons, I think we're friendly with each other, but it's still that mom-son relationship. I can't see them as my friends. They're my sons, they're my babies, even though they're men. We just have much more open dialogue. We talk about everything. Just like the 20-year-old. So, Ma, you trying to say I can cuss at 21? Like, the 20-year-old is even asking to curse, you know, and it's just, but anyway, that's not the mature conversation, but it's just the fact that they respect me to that level that they're not gonna open their mouths and say anything crazy around me because they still have that mom. If I was their friend, they would say whatever the heck they wanted to say.
Right. And that's what I appreciate about, because I know your boys, of course, I call them my nephews, not my cousin's children, but my nephews, and Dina's girls and Jada. I know they're not perfect, and their friends probably see them do things we may not see or hear them, you know, do. So, you know, they're not perfect. I just appreciate them being able to change hats with us. Knowing when mom is being mom, you know, and when she's being when she's letting me into her world of maturity. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a privilege, you know. But having those conversations about anything, and I know a lot of people say, you know, my children can talk to me about anything. And sometimes that's true, and sometimes you don't know what else they're talking about. But I'm gonna tell you some of the things Jada brings to me. I be like, my pearl, I didn't know we were
Yes.
gonna talk about it.
Yes.
I know you said we
Yes.
could talk about anything, but do you bringing that to me? And I'm shocked. Like she thought I meant what I said.
And the thing about that too is like no filters. They don't come with, can we talk about this topic? It's like, hey mom, you know what so and so da 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 da. And I'm like, hold on, man, give me a second.
Yeah,
But
and it's
I appreciate
entered
that.
into it with a level of respect, but
Uh-huh.
yet I don't think I would ever have talked to my mom about it because the door wasn't open
Correct.
to talk to her about that. You know what I'm saying? Even I could have y'all rolling about some things I have had to tell my mama.
Right.
That
Right.
by far she was not in any way, shape, or form able to tell me.
Right.
But when my daughter comes and says these things or asks these questions, I'm like, oh, she really thinks she can come talk to me about anything. And I just
Yeah.
appreciate her ability to change hats, to go from, oh, we just got finished talking about this, back to when I said clean your room, clean your room. You
Right.
know, when I say, and even when it comes to money and those things like that. Dina, what have you found to be the most difficult as we begin to wrap this up, the most difficult part about being a mom at whatever stage?
Yeah, the most difficult part was me feeling like sometimes I feel like I haven't done or given enough, you know, that there's so much more that they need, and I just want to be able. I feel like, I don't know, I can't really verbalize it, but I just feel like I just want them to be ready for the world, ready for the world, and I hope that we give them the tools to get them ready for the world, because right now they're in a bubble, and I know I have kept them there for as long as I could keep them, but I know that they're gonna be out, and I just really want them to be ready. I don't know if that's such a thing, but
No,
I
that's real, girl. That's
want them
real.
ready.
My kids are older, and I still feel that. I'm like, Lord, I just hope they're ready. I've
But
been telling
Javon, with you raising young Black men, and as I've heard people say, they're living in a world with a target on their backs. How I know this is a whole different evolution for you.
them. It's scary. I'm telling you, my son works overnight. My oldest works overnight. He goes into work like 10 o'clock. He doesn't get off to 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. So he's driving to work in another city, 20 minutes away. And I'm always not worried, but overly concerned as far as him getting to and from. I'm always like, please let me know when you arrived. I'm not trying to just lord over your life or rule you, but give me that little bit of peace to know you made it. Because everything that goes around, I get alerts on my phone where there's shootings and other things, traffic stops. I'm like, Lord, where's my son? Where's my son? So, I can see where he is right now if I pull it up on my phone, but I try to give him that privacy in his life where I'm not just trying to be God, just trying to control everything and master. I said, I'm gonna wait for him to call me or whatever it might be. And he does very well with that. But it's really hard having young men and nice looking men, intelligent young men. They dress very well. They wear nice things, so sometimes they can be, I guess you could say that the racial profile in one is the biggest thing. Then somebody can sum them up as somebody having it all. My oldest has his own car and just doing his own thing. So they can be misjudged by just ignorance, so I'm always concerned, but I've been giving it to them since they were little. It's what comes out your mouth is everything. How you explain when it's time for you to talk, how you explain whatever's going on, and how you carry yourself is going to be how it ends. If you want to get rowdy off at the mouth and be disrespectful, best believe you ready to die in this world we're living in. But if you shut your mouth and wait till it's your time to talk, I don't care what the situation is. And a lot of people may not agree with me with that, but know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and represent like you should as a man, as a Black man.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's really
Yeah.
tough. The older they
Yeah.
get, I feel just like you, Dina's like, oh my God, are they ready for this? Are they ready? But you gotta let it go. Like our parents didn't have a hold on us. They let us go, and I say myself, girl, and jumped out there and did some crazy stuff. And there was nothing my parents could do.
Well, I think, my parents didn't let me go. I had to go. I was ready to go. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want Jada for different reasons to be that kind of ready. I was so ready to go. I said, I don't care if it takes 3 jobs. I will work them. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to own my own home. I don't care what it takes. I just had a vision and a drive about me that this is what I'm going to do. And I see that she has that as well. I just don't want her drive to become where she's not driving and the thing is driving her. You know what I'm saying? And but as a mom, if I could say areas where I know, that's why I need a village. I need my daughters to see women who I've always been the type, especially when it comes to things for myself, to give everybody else things first. To make sure everybody else is taken care of. And then, I was always good about saving my money, but when it comes to, just living free, I stopped that in my 20s because I thought, I could do that when I was single. But then when I got married and had a daughter, okay, now I got to sacrifice for everybody. You end up doing that. But yet at the same time, it's like, no, Jack, you never put yourself last, because it takes a whole journey to be able to spin that thing around. It's like once you put yourself last, people do everything to keep you there. And when you start trying to shift and change and get it back, all you got hell to pay when it comes to relationships. So it's like, if anything, I even asked her, what am I doing or what have I done as a mom? We had a talk this morning. I shared with Javon and Dina already about, so my thing is how you feel about yourself as a woman, your whole presence, your being, your queenliness. I wish I had begun to talk to her about that at an earlier age, even though she don't have no problem. This generation got another level of confidence, but I still wish I would have deliberately imparted that into her. So, when she goes out there, because I have a level of fear, just like y'all do, but I have a level of confidence that if I can't do it and haven't done it and have failed in areas, that I have at least exposed her to a village of women, not just the women I know, but even books, and make her aware of women who are really living life, and enjoying it. And I thank God that you two are two of the people, two of the many women that I use to say, if you can't talk to me, you got their phone numbers. If I'm messing up, call you call them and they'll check me, and being that vulnerable, because I know I'm weak in certain areas. So any last minute things as far as what it takes to be more than a mother, my dynamic sister niece co-host.
Go ahead, Dana.
Well, first of all, I know that there are a lot of women out there who are not able to be mothers, and that may be at top of mind, especially during this season. I am here with you. I pray for you, and I definitely can halfway understand what you may be feeling, because at one time I did feel it myself. I also want you to know that there are plenty of people out here looking for you, little ones as well as old ones, for you to pour into. And God knows if you can be that for mine, I welcome you into my community to help me with mine. Because as you can see, I need a lot of help. On another note, it is truly a blessing to call Jessica and Sydney Hamilton my daughters. I am so proud of you both. I wish you nothing but well, happiness, love, and success, whatever that looks like for you. Whatever that looks like for you. And yes, I'm still gonna be that mother, even when you're this here age. You see me and my mama, trust me, it's gonna be you and your mama the same. But I love you.
That's good stuff.
Javon.
I just say motherhood is something. It's something. It's good. Of course, we experience some of everything, every emotion, even emotions not even talked about or heard of. We experience it all. But I encourage every mother to just hang on in there, take one day at a time. Effectively communicating is what I have expressed to my children from the time they could talk. Let's effectively communicate that way. I understand you and you understand me. And take one day at a time and you'll get through it. And just thank God in the process. The good, thank Him, and the bad, thank God, and just cherish each day.
Yes. Thank y'all. And I just want to say to Sister Nistas and Sister Nista lovers all over the world, we know and are not insensitive to the fact that everyone either doesn't have a mom, whether they never knew their natural or their birth mother. Some people's moms have deceased. And so many different people haven't had a great relationship with your mom. We are not oblivious to that. There's another show we did where we talk about your mama and thanks mom, where we talk about our relationships with our mothers. And because the world isn't perfect. And so as Dina and Javon both have said, you don't, there are ways we can work around what we didn't have to become what we needed. Because, people can be raised in the same home and have different experiences with their parents. And so just because somebody may have a great relationship with a mom or dad, the other one may not. So we're very sensitive to that. But everything that we said from start to finish, if you don't have that or have never had that with a biological mom, or you're not a mom and don't have a child, or, whether it be through dealing with infertility or maybe by choice, you can still impart something into someone in a motherly way, a way that's tender, a way that's caring, a way that's supportive. So it doesn't take having the title to play the role in so many words, and just do it deliberately, because it'll come back to you. Whatever you pour into someone, a young man or a young woman, especially from Sister Nista to Sister Nista, some things people don't have anymore. Families aren't what they used to be, at least in the time frame of the demographic of our listeners. So sometimes we have to step in and become family. That's friends and family. We're friends where it doesn't take blood necessarily, to be able to show up for someone and just give them either what you didn't have or what you may have in abundance. So Sister Nistas and Sister Nista lovers, I am TracyMac. I thank God for my two co-hosts, Dina Hamilton and Javon Cookie Jones. Much peace and many blessings to you.
You've been listening to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, brought to you in part by TracyMac Solutions for Life Institute, coaching and training services. No doubt you have enjoyed being in our world, and it doesn't have to stop here. Head on over to blackwomensworld.com. This is my personal invitation to you to stay connected with me on social media and more. I'd love to see you there, and I'm so grateful you came to be with me here. Invite someone else to join you in our queendom next time, so they can feel the vibe of our tribe of Sister Nistas and Sister Nista lovers too. Remember to be kind, be authentic, be generous, be excellent, be grateful, and while you're at it, go ahead and be extraordinary, because that's just what Sister Nistas do, on purpose, through mission, with passion and compassion. It's a Black woman's world, baby, and you, my Sister Nista, are proof. I'm your self-discovery companion, your professional peacemaker, and your host, TracyMac. Wherever you are in the world, may you love and be loved by somebody. Peace.